Some of the best minds in the world bringing you some of the best knowledge on TRS Clips. Do you believe in higher beings?
Yes, I do.
You believe in higher beings?
Yes.
And I ask you this because the podcasting community talks about these things all over the world.
I don't believe in higher beings. I know that higher beings exist.
What is the meaning of higher beings?
Believe means I don't know, I believe. For me, it's not a belief. Higher beings, there are many kinds. First of all, it is so funny to think that in this earth there are only human beings. It's very limited way of thinking. There are other beings. We don't see them, doesn't mean that they don't exist. You don't see the air, but it exists. So, there are. Now we are talking, right? We're talking about something serious. And it is going to lead to so many people understanding certain things. Believe me, there are these beings.
That's about Make Way for Widow. Black Widow. Let's rewind that a little bit. Listen to Shri M, okay? Do you know who Shri M is? No.
To so many we're talking, right? We're talking about something serious. And it is going to lead to so many people understanding certain things. Believe me, there are these beings around. Encouraging, hoping, helping, saying, push, let it go to the world. You may not see it. That doesn't mean that they don't exist. And it is not necessary to see.
I remember seeing that Nicolas Cage film years ago. I don't know if you ever saw it. Was it called City of Angels or something? Anyway, there's a part in it where the woman is asking, like, how you can believe in things that you can't see or something. And he says to her, put out your hand and close your eyes, which she does. And then he, I don't know, strokes her hand or something and tells her to open her eyes and says, like, what did I just do? And she says, you touched my hand. And he says, how did you know? And she says, I felt it. And I think that was just such a great analogy of, like, you don't always have to see things with our eyes to know something is a truth, which I think is sort of what he is saying here.
What are you talking to?
I'm talking to the lovely people at the end of the camera, babe. Do you want to say hi? No, okay.
So, in terms of an ant, I don't know if an ant actually has the same kind of perception that we do as human beings, but an ant certainly can't jump. True?
Thank you.
We can move straight, sideways.
So it doesn't understand. Suppose you jump and go from here to there, the ant cannot make out that. It's a miracle for the ant because it knows only the linear directions.
So we are the higher being for the ant.
In relation to, not ant, let's say some other small creatures. And therefore, for the higher beings, we in our undeveloped state are like the ant.
Okay.
It's difficult to conceive even what it is all about.
Where would you even begin this conversation of higher beings? Would you put ghosts in that category? What people reference as ghosts?
No. See, ghosts are generally they come out of one's imagination. Let me put it this way: the human body has electricity. It has, because there are chemicals, there are metals, everything. Now, generally, when a person grows old and dies, all this electricity slowly fades off. It's gone. Suppose somebody dies in an accident. Suddenly, what happens to the electric charges? Forget the soul, that's gone. What happens to the electric charges which were in this body and which, because they remained in this body, have acquired a certain shape just like this body? What happens? They are released. That is released. And it is wandering around. You can't see it, and under special circumstances it may be visible. Since for a long time it was inside this body, it will have the same shape and people will say that is a ghost. Over time that will disappear. Because that charge will be lost. But believe me, it has no intelligence of its own. It cannot hurt you because it can hurt you by fear, of course. You get frightened and you get a heart attack. That's not the fault of that wraith, whatever is there. It's the charge that has left the human body because suddenly somebody died while still everything was fresh. But the soul is not there in that. Soul is gone.
That's really interesting. I've not heard that perspective before, that it's like it's still holding the shape of the physical body because it's like still holding the electrical charge that was in the physical body, but actually what we think of as ghost doesn't contain the soul of the person that it's come from.
What about people who get possessed by these things?
I think possession, 90% of possession is a psychological disease. There is no such person. In rare cases it may be, but it's not these electrical charges that can possess. In rare cases, other beings are known to have occupied physical bodies.
And these are not necessarily ghosts, these could
No.
be demonic entities.
No, they need not be demonic. They can be good entities also. You see, when we say invisible, we always put it into the demonic category. There may be good and there may be bad.
So there are higher beings around us, or different beings which are also good.
Oh, yes, of course, they are good. Now here there are good.
Right now?
because,
In this house?
Because they are encouraging us. So now, wait a minute, now let me tell you this. Which is why when you sit down and pray, you meditate, sometimes you feel good because they are helping you. Sometimes you don't feel because they are doing something else. So there are beings. There's no question, and in fact, if you develop the capacity to see, you may be able to see them also. But for us who are walking on the path to absolute freedom, we don't want to get stuck with these beings. We need to go further up.
What is their purpose? Why are they there?
They are here because, you see, their rate of frequency of vibration of their bodies is different from ours. Right? So even if they are here where we are sitting, we don't feel them and they don't feel us because their frequencies are different.
Can they see us? Like, if they wish?
Some, not all can see us. Some are unconsciously there, not even aware that we are here, just as we are not aware that they are there.
That's really interesting, because I just sort of always thought that just because we can't see them, that they would be able to see us. I've never really considered the fact that we were coexisting without being aware of each other's presence.
Rare among them might be able to see, like rare among us may be able to see or feel more than see.
Do you feel anything in this house? Just by any chance?
This house, I feel some meditation energies here. Probably because you are meditating or somebody is meditating. And I also see pictures here of the lineage of Lahiri Mahashaya and Sri Guru Babaji. So there are some presences here which are positive. They are not negative presences.
Yeah, yes. I'd love to know about angels, farishte, these things. Are these the higher good beings that you speak of?
True.
So angels are what, God's soldiers?
That is the Semitic narrative of angels. They're not soldiers or anything. They're beings who belong to a different dimension. They will not become human beings, nor will human beings become angels. They are a different set. There are many species of such beings on this earth, not only us, Homo sapiens. And they interpenetrate this world. There are also beings who come from other realms, which are not of this earth.
Not of this universe or not of this earth?
Sometimes from another universe also.
So many questions I have right now. So,
where do you go from something like that?
Was it your guru who began to teach you these things?
Yes, of course. In fact, when I went, I didn't have much of faith in all these things. I wanted to do Kriya and I wanted to touch the Atman and be free and so on. But he said, but there are many intermediate things between this and that.
Why did you have to learn about these things?
Because they are facts. We need to know them. They exist and sometimes they are very helpful to us. You can always use them for help. And if they are negative, you learn about them. Otherwise, how would you avoid them?
How do you use them for help?
Whenever we sit down and meditate and chant the, like for instance, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, such chants when you do, then these higher beings who are there to help us, they come and influence our minds and help us to be free of distractions. Things like that. Suppose there is some problem happening because of the negative influence of such kind of being, always invoke the positive. It takes care of it negates the negative.
These higher beings, why would they even cause negativity to us?
Not the higher good beings. When I say higher, I'm talking about that which is not like physical.
Yeah.
What is beyond the physical, they deliberately will not cause harm to you. But there are like beings who can, for instance, increase your desires. Now this for a sadhak, for instance, on the path of spiritual is a dangerous thing. So you need to handle it.
Wait, say that
You
again.
mean like sexual desires?
Yes.
I missed that part.
Yes.
Most
Now this
replayed.
for a sadhak, for instance, on the path of spiritual is a dangerous thing to you. But there are like beings who can, for instance, increase your desires. Now this for a sadhak, for instance, on the path of spiritual.
What word does he say there? I missed that.
Is a dangerous thing. So you need to handle it its own.
You mean like sexual desires?
Yes, and so on.
And so on. Okay.
Wherever there is a lot of sexual activity, you find such beings. They're not bad per se, but they are those who encourage you to carry on with it because they live by it. They enjoy it.
Like a bad college friend, bad influence college
Exactly.
friend.
But they're good fellows. I mean, in the sense, by their own, they are okay. But for us who are walking on a different direction, they may be taking you off.
Gotcha. Just a little naughty elements around it.
That's right. And you may not even know that. Normally we dismiss it as thoughts, but we don't understand that these thoughts could have been infused by some.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about thoughts not being a property of just your own mind.
No. Thoughts, as far as, see, I go to a function, I'm giving you a simple example, and somebody is lecturing there, talking, like what Hitler used to do. Then he goes raving in the end, all attention is there, right? Then there is the playing of drums, and there is the music playing, and there is the flag up. Your thought is no more yours. It's been taken over. This is what I mean.
I bet we're not even conscious of how much that happens all the time.
Or circumstances. Maybe circumstances of
Also, partly circumstances also can take over and change your thinking. Sometimes you may be thinking something which was never part of your psyche. It may be coming from somebody else or somewhere else.
Okay.
That is why when you sit down to meditate, traditionally they draw a protective circle, which is a mind circle, of course. There's nothing material there. And say, please keep away thoughts from us so that we can meditate. In temples, when you see those grotesque figures standing at the gates, the Dwarapalakas, they are supposed to be symbols of those keeping away evil things.
Well, there we go. I like what he was saying at the end there about the thoughts that might not actually be your own, because I read the book recently, Think and Grow Rich, and he actually, the title to that book does it no justice, because it's really a lot about kind of metaphysics and manifestation and that kind of thing, and he actually talks about being aware that other people's negative thoughts, not even their negative speech or speech in general, can actually kind of permeate our own thoughts, like without us even being aware. And obviously we all like to think that we're independent thinkers, but we're not at all. So I think it's good to always question, sorry about my phone going on, it's always good to question our thoughts and realise that there are thoughts are just another object, they're not what makes us, and to question where such thoughts are coming from, because more often than not they're not from our true intelligence or our true self. So really excited to have gotten in a little bit to Sri M. If you've got any other videos that you love of his, please leave a comment, because yeah, I'm loving Sri M. I think he's up there with the best, so I really want to get into more. Enjoy the rest of your day or night or whatever you're getting up to, and I'll see you on the next video.